Well, welcome to our show today. I'm so happy to have one of my favorite guests here, David Kohlmeier, the problem solver. We're going to have Dave tell us all about him, and I'd like you to be sure to like, subscribe, and share. I'm sure you're going to like this show. Hi, Dave. How you doing?
How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. So, father of three, retired police. Oh, come on. You got to tell me. I want to hear about you.
So I'm Dave Kohlmeier. I'm known as the problem solver, which is it was a name that basically came up from when I was a police officer in Henderson. I basically was trying to always help people and solve people's problems. So
Yeah.
a lot of police officers are out there that if it wasn't a crime being committed, they would want to leave. And a lot of times people would say, what is Kohlmeier doing over there? Like,
Yeah.
he's trying to solve everyone's problems. So that's how I became the problem solver, is basically me going above and beyond trying to help people. And we all have problems.
Yeah.
And as a police officer, I figured if I'm dressing up as Superman, I might as well go out and basically help people and solve their problems. And during that time, right, if someone was a bad person that
Sure.
committed a crime, then I can go out and arrest them.
There you go. I like that.
So I've been in Vegas for about 22 years now. I was a police officer for 17, Henderson PD for a while, and then I also started as a New York City police officer for about 4 years, which I worked 9/11 as well.
New York City. What part? Brooklyn, or were you in?
So I actually grew up in Queens. if you're
Okay,
familiar.
all right.
And then I was actually a police officer in Brooklyn, and then I did work 9/11, the towers. I worked
Oh
in
my
Brooklyn
God. Thank you.
that day as well. So sad situation, but I was able to survive that day because you never know where you're going to be as a police officer. And then I came out after 9/11. I came out that February after 9/11, and then basically wanted to start over and
Sure.
start fresh in a beautiful town, which is Las Vegas.
Yeah. Well, it's wonderful. We're glad to have you. I was from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And my husband, Steve, he was from Brooklyn
Okay.
and L.A. and in here. So
Awesome.
we all come to Vegas, Are you
Absolutely.
listening to this? So tell us about how did the problem solve? That's how you got your name, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I was a police officer for 17 years, and the goal is always wanted to wake up every day and basically try to help people. So I definitely, I always say that I survived the job in regards to police officer because there's so many things that happen as a police officer, right? You have a bad guy that basically is committing a crime that may be on drugs,
Right.
and basically wants to be free, doesn't want to be arrested. Then you actually have people that are mentally unstable, right? That, a lot of people suicidal thoughts and want to hurt themselves and hurt others.
Sure.
So you have to deal with that. The other side is that a lot of times we deal with administration in regards to working for a police department where some people are not liked. It's very simple. Wherever we work, right?
Right,
Some people are
true.
not liked by their race, their religion, may not always come out that way.
Right.
So administration-wise, that basically I would say I survived that. And then also surviving yourself, because as a police officer, you can have problems. You get issues of drinking or drugs, and because of a lot of the stress or the
Right.
schedule that you can work graveyard shift, or you see, let's say someone sees a lot of dead bodies,
Yeah.
or they basically experienced a shooting or a traumatic situation. And a lot of people can resort to depression.
Right.
It can lead to alcohol intake-wise. It could lead to taking, if you got injured while working as a police officer, some people, right, take pain medicine. And just like a regular person, they can get addicted.
That's
Police
right.
officers can get addicted. And then we have some people that... it's interesting because several officers that I know, they were very healthy. They were very strong. They were very fit. There was
Right.
a few officers. One suffered a stroke. One suffered a heart attack, and people have passed away. From these things. So when I say I survived a career of 17 years, most cops last 20 years. I actually medically retired at stomach surgery, which was something that I had from when I was younger. But it was a good time to get out. I just had my first child as well. But I did survive policing, and it's not an easy job. A lot of people would say it's a thankless job in general. And it's tough. It's not easy when you see an officer, to wave to them and say thank you for your job, because all day long,
Sure.
an officer thinks that he's going to get shot and hurt and
Right.
injured.
Well, you're always on.
Yeah, you're always
afraid,
you're always on guard.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why if you see police officers, even when they go out for lunch, they're sitting in a corner looking
Yeah.
at the front door watching, because
Right.
someone can come up to them and shoot them.
Yeah.
Right? So
True.
all day long, you're
Right.
literally thinking that I am a target and that I'm going to get shot and killed. And there's several officers over the last year in Nevada Highway Patrol,
Right.
Accidents, DUI, that have died. Then we have 2 Metro officers that were shot in a pizza place that got killed and murdered. Fortunately, in Henderson, knock on wood, it seems they may be fortunate and lucky. I don't know if it's training, but sometimes it's just luck of the draw. That basically that they haven't had any major stuff happening. But officers have died from when they retired. 6 months later, they die of a stroke or heart attack.
Absolutely. Is that where you're at now? You're in Henderson?
So I personally live in Las Vegas, but
Okay.
I retired from policing 9 years ago.
Okay.
So I live up in Desert Shores.
That's a nice area. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
up there.
beautiful area. I'm very
Yeah.
fortunate. And recently, over the last 9 years, when I retired from policing, I still wanted to help people.
Right.
So I started working in different law firms. But what was interesting is I started working in criminal defense law firms.
Okay.
So a lot of cops that I used to work with would say, "Oh, he went to the dark side." But the truth of the matter is, people that get arrested for domestic battery or DUI, I
Right.
mean, they're good people.
Of
They made
course.
a mistake. I am
Yeah.
not perfect. I've made mistakes in my life.
Right.
We all make mistakes.
Of course
We're only
we
human.
do. Right.
But people think as a police officer, you wear a uniform that basically you're the perfect person in the world.
No.
Of course, we all try to be perfect people.
Right.
And then things happen, and not everybody's perfect.
Right.
So the bottom line is, I always believed in helping people and giving them a second chance and a third chance. So I was working in law firms. I worked at Las Vegas Defense Group. I worked at the Defenders. And I was helping people that basically, when they made a bad choice, they would come into the office, they would explain what happened, they would be upset. And I would try to basically kind of heal them a little bit to some
Right.
degree and say, look,
Right.
I understand what you're going through. You're going to be okay. You're going to get through this.
Right.
We just can't have you do this again.
Correct.
We can't have you drive intoxicated again. We
Right.
can't have you have a domestic battery again with your wife, with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, with your brother, with your sister. We can't have that happen. And this is what we're going to do to prevent that in the future, right? If this happens, I want you to walk away. I want you to stay away from them, leave the house. So I was basically educating them what to do
That's wonderful.
if they basically had another situation to prevent them from being arrested again, or maybe they're going to be on probation.
Right.
Right? How to basically clean up the situation, clean up their problem,
Right.
and basically become a better person today, even though they got arrested. So a lot of officers that I worked with would say, "Oh, he's working for a criminal defense law firm. He's anti-cop." That's not true.
No.
I was trying to help people. Now, I'm not a lawyer.
Okay.
So I wasn't the one going to court anyway.
Right.
So if you had a DUI or domestic battery or you stole something, the lawyer would go to court, but I was helping them by doing an intake, by meeting with them, by helping them. Maybe they lost their car, they lost their home. I was helping their whole problem situation, but the lawyer would be signed up for them to go to court, to
Right.
represent them, and to get them out of that situation and to realize to live a better life for whatever their situation may be.
Right. So you work with the lawyers also?
I worked with the attorneys in there. So basically,
Okay.
what they call an intake case manager,
Okay, that's what you did.
signing someone up, helping
Right.
them with their problems, because the lawyer's not going to help them,
No.
find a new place to live.
No.
Or the lawyer's not going to get them into like a DUI class.
No.
Or counseling, right? So I had all these different resources by being a police officer and
Right.
learning how to help those people. Like if you get a DUI and you get arrested,
Yeah,
how if your car got towed and you're basically going to lose your job, how do you get to work?
that's true.
Right?
How do
Or
you?
people don't realize that there's a lot of problems once you get arrested. The arresting part is the first step. Then there's other problems. You could lose your job, right? That you don't show up to work because you got
Right.
arrested, and you've been in jail for 5 days.
Yeah.
How do you get your job back? How do you find a new job? So all the problems that come in with being arrested is where I was helping out. The legal advice, the legal counseling, the going to court, that was what the lawyer did. And that's what I did in the law firm. So I kind of felt that I was doing almost community policing inside a criminal defense law firm, helping people basically through the situation. But the lawyer was the one that was going to court, and the lawyer was fighting to basically get them justice or to get the case either reduced or dismissed or dropped
Right.
to basically help them live a normal life after that arrest.
Wow.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Oh, my God, yes. Well, walk me through, I am curious. You did mention about people getting arrested for drunken drive. What happens when a police officer grabs somebody and they're, DUI? What are some of the things that happen? Maybe we can stop people from drinking and driving. Who knows?
The sad part right now is that there's an increase for this year specifically, 2024,
Yeah.
and a lot of deaths that are taking place on the roadways.
Right.
Now, when it's very, very hot out, which is a very hot summer,
Sure.
I don't believe the cars are working properly. I don't
No.
think people are thinking straight. Maybe
Right.
the air conditioning's not working, they're heated, they're not in the right state of mind.
Exactly.
So from normally it's like Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Yeah.
They basically say it's about 100 days that is the deadliest days for you to be on the roadway.
Okay.
Recently, there's another person I know that their brother was walking on the street. It was late at night. There was a drunk driver. He got killed the other day, and their funeral, I think, is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the problem is, like, how do you prevent this? How do you stop this?
Right.
I think it's difficult in any city whatsoever.
Yeah.
But specifically in Las Vegas, right? They're giving out alcohol, right?
Oh, yeah.
Here you go. You got a slot machine, right? Would you
Yeah.
like a beer? Would
Yeah.
you like? I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't even cost you any money.
No.
So I do believe it's more of a problem in Las Vegas, which
Sure.
concerns me for my family, for my children, for my wife, for myself, for my parents, and for everybody out in Clark County. The problem basically is that alcohol is just so freely available.
Right.
And you don't even have to pay for it.
No.
Even if you go to a 7-Eleven or a gas station when you drive your car,
Yeah.
if you sit down at that slot machine, you're offered a drink.
Oh, you are?
Because basically they'll give you a free beverage or something like
7-Eleven.
that. At a 7-Eleven, right? If they have slot machines. Or
I'm learning something new.
Or video poker, they'll provide a drink. So
Wow.
it's a problem
Yeah, it is.
in regards to gambling and drinking and so on. Now we have marijuana, which is
That's
basically
even
illegal.
more.
Your new 7-Eleven that didn't work out well is now a dispensary.
Yeah.
So now some people say, well, when you're smoking marijuana, which
Yeah.
I'm not a marijuana smoker, but
No.
that you're more going to be mellow and you're not going to want to
Yeah.
drive. But I don't believe it's helping our community.
No.
By having marijuana legal,
Right.
by having alcohol legal. You know, it's our right to basically have and ingest these things that are legal.
Okay.
But I do believe there's problems for our community by making these things readily available
Right.
and accessible, right? Like, this is the only town at 3 a.m. you can go,
Oh,
get
yeah.
marijuana, you can go get alcohol.
All of
where
the
most
above.
towns, right, even in LA,
Yeah, they roll up the street.
they're closing up.
Yeah.
You know, places are closed by 11.
Yeah. Right.
So it's a problem. So how do we really prevent this? I don't know. People talk about having red light cameras, right? That if you go through a red light.
Yeah.
The problem with the red light cameras, some people feel that when you have the red light camera, you think you're going to get a ticket, so you're going to rush to go through the red light so you can beat the camera. And then there's lobbyists that are fighting. They don't want the red light cameras
Yeah.
because it's like Big Brother watching with cameras.
Right.
So I know that the sheriff McMahill is trying to basically bring the red light cameras.
Right.
Would that really make a difference right now? If we said there's red light cameras everywhere, I
Not
think that
that
if you're on
much.
alcohol or you're on a controlled substance,
No.
I don't think you think, oh, there's a camera there.
It
let
isn't
me
gonna
let me
matter,
slow
no.
down right now. You know.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I don't really know what the answer is. The only thing I will share with you, which is it's an important rule that I came up with.
Thank you.
So this is a good tip. I've been on the
Okay.
news talking about it, but most people don't know it.
Okay, I want to hear it.
It's called the 7-second safety rule.
Okay.
So what that means is if you're at a red light and you're the first row of cars,
Yeah.
if you would count from 1 to 7, no matter where you are on that row, before you drive through that green light, you wait 7 seconds.
Okay.
That means if you're in the first row,
Right.
the first row, we call it the number 1 lane,
Right.
you count 1, 2, 3, 4. It seems a little long. Now, technically, if you're in the number 1 lane, 4 seconds is probably good because the guy that goes through the red light, after 4 seconds, he'll pass the number 1 lane.
Right.
But the number 2 lane, maybe it's 5 or 6 seconds, and then the third may be 5 to 7 seconds. So,
Right.
so depending, number 1 lane, 2 lanes, 3 lanes, 4 lanes, 7 seconds would give you enough time for that car going through a red light, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The thing with it is
Okay.
people behind you are going to beep their horn. Beep,
Yeah.
beep, beep. They're going to like, hey, it's green, go.
Yeah.
But you have to not care about the people behind you.
True.
Count the 7 seconds because people go through red lights. It will make you safer to go through that intersection than basically just going through. When you see green, people think, oh, green, I can go. But they're not looking to see if a guy went through a red light.
Yeah. See what happened. Yeah.
So you got to slow it down.
Yeah.
Count 7 seconds on the first row. Remember, if you're behind the first car, it's different.
Right.
You don't have
But
to
if
wait. You
you're
don't have to
the
count 7
first
seconds.
car-
But the first row is extremely important.
You're right.
Because no one is looking to see if anyone's going through the red light. They think it's green. Oh, I'm safe. I can just drive through right now. But it's not true. You need to look at the green light
Yeah.
and also look to see if there's any traffic to see if anyone's going through the red light.
Right.
So if people implemented the 7-second rule, 7-second safety rule that I came up with,
That's beautiful.
that
That is
it would
really
help
beautiful.
save lives. But
Yes.
are people going to really do that?
Yeah.
Hopefully your viewers will basically
Yeah.
follow that and we can save some lives here today.
Yeah.
But it is a problem. I don't know how else to change it.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting if eventually, I think eventually the cameras will come, the red
Sure.
light cameras. And when you go from Vegas to Arizona, there are cameras that are speed cameras on the highways.
Are there?
In Arizona, that you'll get a
Okay.
ticket in the mail.
Okay.
But does that really prevent you from slowing down at the moment?
No.
Some people believe that when police officers give you a ticket for a red light or speeding, it will change your behavior for about 72 hours. After 72 hours, you're going to go back to your normal way of driving. But you are preventing, most likely, speeding and accidents with police officers out there by giving people tickets.
True.
The thing with it is, I don't believe there's enough officers.
No.
There's not enough tickets being given out.
Yeah.
There's too much roadway. There's too many streets.
Right.
And these days, honestly, people don't even want to become a police officer.
No.
It's really
It's hard to find.
right now.
people
You
that
can't
wanna-
even find police officers.
No.
In Henderson, Las Vegas, they're taking retired police officers and they're saying, "Hey, you can get your pension and so on, but do you want to come back as like a part-time employee?"
Wow.
They're almost treating it like it's a 7-Eleven job where you're coming back as a part-time employee. They have programs right now to get retired officers to be retired but to come back.
Wow.
So they get like extra benefits or they'll get their
Yeah,
pension. They're like,
yeah.
it's what we kind of call like double dipping right there.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting their pension
Both
and they're
ways.
getting their salary,
Yeah.
but nobody wants the job. So some people get upset about that, but like, all right, so why don't you become a police officer? But like I said, they're having problems nationwide finding police officers because of the temperament, because of the society being thankless. Now, I'm not saying every police officer is perfect. Again, we try to be perfect, right? We try
Yeah.
to do the best that we can. If there's a problem, right, there's internal affairs. People can make complaints. People have cameras these days. The cameras, right, the body cameras are
cameras.
on them.
Yeah.
The cameras in their car, they're being watched more than ever before, which is another reason why, if you had a job all day long where you had a camera on you, would you want that job?
No.
Literally on you. Imagine
Yeah.
as a realtor or you were a pharmacist and there's a
Right.
camera on your body facing whatever you do. You go to the bathroom, there's a camera, right?
No, I'm not sure I'd want to do that. No.
So it's not an easy job.
No.
Honestly, I'm glad that I, again, survived 17 years of policing.
Dave, tell me, I don't know if you can or not, but what is, in all your years as a police officer, there's had to be one or two instances that have really shook you up as a police officer, like whether it be a murder, whether it be a robbery. Was there anything that really stood out to you that was like a come to Jesus moment, if you will, that really changed, you wanting to stay in that profession for the rest of your life? I'm just curious.
Yeah, well, when I was a New York City police officer, the pay was very low.
Okay.
And I'm actually now 48. I started when I was 22. But when I was a New York City police officer, normally during the New Year's or July 4th, it probably happens all over there. A lot of people do these celebration shots. But a celebration shot, what it is taking a real gun and basically pointing up in the air and shooting, right, for like celebratory reasons.
Yeah.
And they would shoot up. But the problem is in the area in New York City, what they call them housing projects.
Right.
Where there's basically very high floors and people that are low income,
Right.
a lower socioeconomic group, whether black, white, Chinese, whatever religion, whatever
Yeah.
race.
True.
It's a lower socioeconomic group in a certain area, which is housing projects, which
Right.
is very high.
I'm following you.
My
Yeah.
first year, basically as a police officer, I started working in a precinct in Brooklyn, the 70th precinct.
Okay.
And what happened was I was told to go into a housing project to what they call vertical patrol, which is basically what you do is you go to the top level of the housing building and you go from staircase to staircase to staircase to see if people are trespassing or they're doing drugs or they're doing crimes.
Right.
So I was supposed to do a vertical patrol with 3 other officers for during New Year's. It was New Year's
Right,
Eve.
right.
And during New Year's Eve, basically, when we did this, I was new, so I wasn't thinking much of it. And I did one other New Year's Eve where it was in an area that wasn't as much crime. So
Right.
there wasn't such bad stuff going on. But this year in Brooklyn, a very bad area that I was in East New York and Brownsville, we went up to the top floor, and all of a sudden we started hearing gunshots like crazy. And we were on
And you were brand new.
I was brand new, and we were on
Oh
the,
my God.
we were on the landing of
Yeah.
the building.
Yeah.
And we started hearing all these gunshots, and we literally dropped to the floor on the rooftop of this housing building, and basically we were literally like on the floor, like trying to get cover, trying to get into a
Yeah.
location.
You had to
So
be
we tried to
scared.
get back into the staircase because all these gunshots were going off, but we didn't know where were they coming from. Most likely, they were coming from either people's windows where they were taking the guns outside, people on the lower level, people on other rooftops. We didn't know. So we felt like we were under fire.
Of course, I would have too.
So I thought I was like in the military, like which
Yeah.
I have no military
Yeah.
experience or I've never been anywhere overseas like this. But I literally was on the floor and we were going back to the staircase and our guns were out and we didn't know what to do. And we all got together in the doorway of the housing project where it would lead you down the staircase, like the emergency exit all the way
Right.
down. And it probably was about 30 flights down.
Okay.
So I remember with the other officers, we had our guns out, we were like, our backs together, and I was like, what is going on? This is like insane. Now you would think that, hey, I'm going to get on the radio and say, hey, shots fired at this location, but the truth is shots are being fired all over the area. So the truth of the matter is, as long as that we were safe, you didn't really call it in.
No.
You basically, because other officers may be in jeopardy, that they can get hurt as well
course.
from coming to the location.
Right.
And we didn't know where the shooter is. We didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
There was like literally 50, 100 shots going off. So we were safe. I was nervous and
I would
upset.
have been nervous.
And so I was with these officers, but in my mind, I was saying to myself, I was with some senior officers at the time. And one actually passed away that I just am thinking about right now. But basically, I was saying to myself, like, why would the senior officers tell us to come to the spot? Like, if you know it's so
Right.
bad, why are we even on this rooftop?
Right.
Not, just because you get orders to go somewhere to do something. Like, if it's dangerous,
Yeah, why?
are we on this rooftop? Like, it doesn't
Right.
make any sense. You're a senior guy
Yeah.
with a lot of experience. Why am I on this rooftop if you know
Yeah.
there's going to be a shooting? Like,
Yeah.
and you don't know who the shooter is.
Yeah.
Not that you're being scared, you're a police officer, but like, you don't know where the shots
Yeah.
are going to be, and it's
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah.
So all four of us decided basically to go down the staircase, and we went down with, our guns are out,
Yeah.
basically going down the staircase. We finally make it to the bottom level. But I remember my hand was on the trigger, and I was ready to shoot anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
all I'm hearing is
obviously.
gunshots, like it's a
Yeah.
war zone. We finally make it downstairs to the lower level, to the lobby of the housing project. And next thing I know is we're about to go outside. There's literally 150 people outside because it's New Year's Eve. It's like this party that's going on, but we didn't know who had guns. It's not like, hey, everybody against the wall. Like no
Yeah,
one's gonna listen to you in Brooklyn
No.
anyway.
Yeah,
In that
no,
area, like, no
no,
one's listening to you.
no.
They would run before they would listen to
Yeah.
you. So at the end, we were only like 2 blocks away from our precinct.
Yeah.
So we go outside and we realize, think about this: 4 grown men in uniform.
Yeah.
New York City Police, badge, guns. We walk outside. I think that we heard gunshot. We just felt it was
Yeah.
unsafe.
Yeah.
We walk it back inside the building. We have our guns out. There's people walking by like normal, but our guns are out.
Yeah.
And next thing I know is we said we're gonna run for it, like.
Yeah.
Because remember, if we call other, it sounds crazy, the whole story.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna, what I learned very quickly was if I call other officers, it's gonna create a problem for them.
That's right.
We don't know who the shooters are. There's too many people. It's not worth starting a whole
No,
problem.
no.
So we literally run, me and 3 other officers.
Yeah.
We literally let's say the word the retreat, but we
Yeah.
we
Ran.
walked pretty quickly back
move
to the
on.
precinct.
Yeah.
And I go back to the precinct, and I'm like, we're like getting out of there with our guns out.
Yeah.
We walk back to the precinct, and I remember I was against the wall, and I was like, what am I doing? Like for
Yeah.
$400 a week
Yeah,
after
like,
taxes,
really?
I was making $29,000 a year.
Hello.
Like what am I doing? Like this is insane.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, like, most people in the view is like, why would you not call for help? Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a thing that you did because there was so many people.
Yeah.
Like that was the night that belonged to the people
Yeah.
of the city of New York, like,
Yeah, for New
or to
Year's
the
Eve.
criminals
Yeah.
that were out there because
Both.
it was impossible.
Yeah.
You can't police that situation.
No.
Could you imagine calling? I mean, how many cops you need to
Yeah.
150 people? Like, it wasn't set up to be
No.
a successful situation.
No.
So it paid to just let them have that night.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times people would die. Like these celebration shots would
Sure.
go into someone's house or shot a kid or something like that.
Yeah.
And that night, actually, nearby, there was a shooting. Someone did get hit. And all the cops are going to that location where there's a victim.
Right.
So we didn't have any victims.
No,
We were
so you
okay.
really couldn't.
So it wasn't worth it, is what I learned.
No.
But it was a quick lesson in policing. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like you would think, like you tell this to anybody else, like, what are you talking about? Why would you not call for backup?
Yeah.
Why would you not? Because they were at another shooting
Right.
that where someone really got hurt.
Right.
So after the shots go off, within about 5 minutes,
Yeah.
a call would come over.
Yeah.
Mel shot this location. All the cops were going there. There's not even enough manpower.
Right.
And all of New York City to, they're going to go wherever the victim is that day.
Yeah.
So long story short, I remember just saying to myself, this is crazy. I'm
Yeah.
in the worst area. I'm getting paid like no money after state tax, city tax, pension payment, medical payment. Like it just wasn't worth it.
You begin to realize.
So I realized that I needed to go somewhere else where at least
Right.
there was more money, or the suburbs, somewhere at least that it would be better in general.
This was right around the time of 9/11.
Basically, yeah, it was around 9/11, based when I first started. So it was basically July 1st, 1998. So we're talking about 1999. Yeah, about it was
9/11,
December
01.
1999,
Yeah.
before 9/11.
Yeah, but you said you were at 9/11.
And then, so basically after that situation, I realized I need to start applying for other jobs, other
Right.
cities. That's where
Yeah.
I wound up in Vegas and Henderson.
Right.
And then also 9/11. I survived 9/11. That was a sad situation. Again, I was in Brooklyn. People were coming over the bridge.
So you went over to help.
Well, actually, what happened was that day we had to maintain our post in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But people were walking over the bridge, escaping from the towers. I mean, I
Yeah.
could see the towers. I saw the plane hit. People were escaping.
It's something you'll never
Yeah.
forget as long as you live.
We were basically evacuating people to get on the train
Yeah.
in Brooklyn to evacuate, and you could see the soot on people's legs and so on to see what floor they were coming from. Most people were low-level floors.
Yeah.
They were maybe on the 20th floor and lower,
Yeah.
but people that were higher that didn't make it, right, I never met those people. But people that were lower levels, basically it was evacuation and sad situation, but we are desensitized as police officers. When you saw the building, I mean, I wasn't directly under it, but when you see it across from
Well,
the,
yeah, you
the
had
river,
to, every place you were, you could have seen
you would
that.
see it, but
Yeah.
like it seemed like it was almost fake. If you were directly there and you saw
Yeah.
stuff coming down,
Then you know
that's a
it's
different
real.
environment. But
Yeah.
it's almost picturesque. I always
Yeah.
talk about Die Hard, the movie, the Nakatomi
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
When you saw the explosion, it was like the Nakatomi building.
Yeah.
So when you see it, it just seemed like, okay,
Yeah.
that's the problem, that a lot of cops are desensitized.
Yeah.
Unless you're directly involved in it at the
Yeah.
moment or under that building.
Yeah.
I was over the bridge, so it seemed kind of like, that's not good.
Yeah.
It's not a good situation, but you're almost desensitized where you
Right,
don't even.
'cause you were away
You
from
can't
it.
even fathom
Yeah.
what's taking place over there.
No.
And we had to maintain our post in Brooklyn where we were
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
because basically they thought it was going to be another target.
Yeah.
Because people thought at that time that we were going to be invaded like by other
Yeah.
things would happen.
Yeah,
other
nobody knew what was going on.
explosives
Yeah,
or
and then you
bombs,
think of
secondary
Pennsylvania,
devices,
yeah.
Pennsylvania,
And the
D.C.
Pentagon, yeah.
So those are the two major incidents: 9/11 and basically me being a brand new cop, being shot at, and then
Yeah.
and like I said, kind of crazy stories in
Yeah.
general for some of the viewers.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
people don't realize when you sit at your home
Yeah.
and you're watching TV and you got
Yeah.
a fireplace going on,
Yeah.
what's going on out there, and it's definitely some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate to have police officers out there that
Yeah,
are
thank
protecting us
God.
in the middle of the
Yeah.
night.
Thank you for your service, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wow. But, I'm glad you came out here. It's a, pleasure to meet you. But
Thank
you
you,
have
yeah.
a lot of interesting stories, don't you?
My goal as the problem solver these days is to help anyone with a problem. So if anyone's out there
Yeah.
that has a problem, I use my background and experience and my resources
Yeah.
to help people. I do get phone calls all the time with people where either the police are at their door, they get into a car accident, they're injured. Today, some of the problems were someone referred me, they were trying to apply for disability because they were injured in other accidents, but they never applied for disability.
Right.
They're not sure how to do it. So I would basically refer them to different places. Today also we had someone that was involved in an accident a few weeks ago, but if they don't get a lawyer right away, their case is not going to be handled properly. They
Right.
need to go for medical treatment. People just don't know how the process works.
Correct.
So even though I'm not giving specific legal advice, I'm referring them to the right entities. We're saying you need to jump on this. You need an attorney right away.
Yeah.
Or you need to apply right away, or you need to take pictures, or
Right.
you get into an accident, you need to get the insurance and the registration from that driver. So a lot of people are just not educated what to do when
Right.
when an emergency happens or they have a problem, and that's where I kind of come into play as the problem solver.
Well, is it for everything? Is it whether it's DUIs or murder or?
So basically at this point in time,
I'm just curious.
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's great.
asking questions.
It's a great question. So anytime someone has a problem,
Yeah.
I
Any
answer
problem.
the phone. I have a
Yeah.
really easy number, just like 911's
Yeah.
the police.
So you're kind of like the equalizer.
Well, the funny
But
thing
not
about
really.
it's funny you say that with the Equalizer because that was a great.
That's one of my favorite
That was a great
shows.
show.
I like that. Yeah.
The Equalizer is going out this, if there's
Yeah.
a major problem, like handling situations that
Yeah.
may not always be legal
Yeah,
about how they're
yeah,
handling it.
yeah.
Personally, as the problem solver, I'm solving the problem by saying, okay, you have this problem. These are a few different options.
Right.
I had someone the other day that lost their job.
Yeah.
And I said, when you go back to human resources, you need
Right.
to say these different things to maintain the job. And they're going to ask you, do you have a lawyer?
Right.
But once you say you have a lawyer, they're going to shut down.
Right.
They're going to say, I'm sorry, we can't talk to you anymore. So by saying that you have a lawyer doesn't help the situation
No.
if you're trying to get a job back.
Right.
So these are little things that I've learned over time. If you need a lawyer, I basically work with a network of different attorneys. I work with the Las Vegas Legal Network, which is a network of attorneys that basically help different people, whether accident, injured, probate, real estate, whatever it is. It's a network of attorneys that they refer to.
Okay.
And then as the problem solver, I have a network as well where people that have problems, basically, right, they could have a drug problem, they need counseling, they need a job, they need a car, right? The problem solver basically is helping people with all different problems.
Okay.
And the phone number is 702-999-1111.
Say it one more time.
702-999-1111, which
Okay.
is the problem solver. And basically, that is a network
Right there.
of any type of problem that you have. We will refer to people. You need, you have your tax return, you need an IRS enrolled agent to help you because you got a letter from the IRS. We work with IRS enrolled agents. We work with people that are human resources to
You
get
have a
people
website
jobs.
too, don't you?
The website basically is LasVegasProblemSolver.com.
Okay.
And basically, like I said, you can go there, put in information if you have a problem.
Okay.
And then with myself or other problem solvers that we work with,
Okay.
when I say other problem solvers, who is that? That could be an enrolled or IRS agent if you have an IRS problem.
Okay.
It could be you're looking for a job. It could be several human resources people.
Right.
If you just got out of prison and you need a job, we work with some different nonprofits to help people to get them back into housing, into jobs as well.
Okay.
So what I call them other problems, problem solver network, is people that are helping people, and it's not always in regards to getting compensated. It's
Right.
people going above and beyond to help people get them back to be a good citizen
Well,
in Clark
that's,
County.
that's wonderful. You know, I'm really glad I had you on.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, like I
And-
said, I
and
love sharing my
I hope
message.
to have you on again because we had a lot more to talk about, I can
Absolutely.
tell. So what do you think? Like, subscribe, and share, and let me know what you think because I'd like to have Dave back on again. And that's our show for today. We hope you enjoyed it. Bye.
Thanks so much for having me.